All right, welcome back, fight fans. This is the DAZN Boxing Show. I go by the name of Vak.
And I go by the name of Ade.
That's right. The boxing bully is not here. And no, that's not Barack. I'm telling you, I know he looks like him. We often get that often. I mean, Ade goes crazy when we're out and about in Vegas or wherever, and people confuse us.
No, you know why? Because I think it's my moment of like fame. They're like, yo, YouTube, photographs, autographs. I'm like, yes. And I can tell they don't think it's me. I can tell.
No, I think a couple of times they knew it was you in Vegas. But yeah, I don't know, for whatever reason. I don't know where Barack is, but he's not here. So my man Ade's filling in for him. And we got a lot to talk about. A lot of fights this weekend. You know, there's two fights in particular that we have to touch on. The Matrix is back, because I don't think he is Lomachenko anymore. Ade, I don't know. Maybe it was just a fight. Not sure. And obviously Jake Paul. Proving the doubters wrong. It's the opening bell. Let's get to it. I start off with the Lomachenko fight. And I was in attendance at Madison Square Garden. We all know Loma has a long layoff. People kept throwing the word out there, rusty. He's looking past this guy, thinking about the Devin Haney fight, thinking about the undisputed crown. But we had a guy from Boston in Ortiz, Jermaine Ortiz, who came to win, came in shape, and was kind of taking a page out of Teofimo Lopez's book, in my opinion, where early in that fight, he started right away before Lomachenko could get going. A lot of people felt like Loma started a little too late. Very close fight, Ade.
Yeah, no, indeed. Look, Jermaine Ortiz is an unbeaten fighter, right? Unbeaten fighters are going to have that mentality of we can't lose, regardless. He's a lot younger than Loma. I think we saw it on the night. He's a lot bigger than Loma as well. Loma's had nearly a year off. Obviously, last time out, Richard Comey. He had the situation in Ukraine. This is not me giving him excuses, but if I'm Jermaine Ortiz, I'm thinking, okay, look, we might not be getting the best Loma right now. He's 34. I feel like Loma's got a style where he needs to be active. That kind of sort of switch hitting movement. You can't be rusty with that style. So I think Jermaine Ortiz showed that. He jumped on him straight away. He landed some big shots. In the second round, he definitely hurt Loma with a nice little left hook. And I think Jermaine Ortiz can go away from that fight thinking, maybe unlucky not to get a draw, maybe. But now he's there. Ortiz is now in that lightweight mix. So no shame on Ortiz in the performance. For Loma, though, if I'm Devin Haney ringside and rubbing my hands together, like, this is what I'm supposed to be scared of. So right now, I think for Devin, you're confident. But for Loma, I think it's good that he banked 12 rounds. And there's no doubt in my mind, as a big Loma fan, we're going to see a better Loma next time round.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you can't go against a guy who's a two-time Olympic gold medalist coming into the. I mean, he literally started fighting big fights as soon as he became a professional, and we know his greatness. We saw it. We got to give him the benefit of the doubt here. But then I don't want to take too much credit away from Jermaine Ortiz, who is in the mix now. To your point, he's in the mix. But did he? I guess I don't want to say expose, but did he show these younger guys like Tank? Like, the other lightweights, like Shakur, that maybe Loma isn't the same fighter that he once was. I think he'll fight up to his opponent. I think he'll we'll have a better version of Loma against a Devin Haney. But it makes me think, Ade, that, this sport, regardless of how great you are, regardless of how skilled you are and how much you've accomplished, you can't beat Father Time. Yeah. And maybe Loma will be 35 years old in February. I think February 17th at that end. Maybe he's tired. This is a guy that, I don't know, hundreds of amateur fights. Very decorated amateur. Put so many rounds in. He's accomplished so much so fast that maybe that passion isn't there. I'm not saying that's what it is. But maybe. I mean, I'm just giving you different variations of what people think.
I think you could be right. Look, I mean, the amateur record is as big as anyone's in boxing, right? And it's not just that. It's the training sessions, sparring sessions. He's fighting guys that we're now seeing way bigger than him. Tio was much bigger than him. Luke Campbell was bigger than him. I mean, you can go back to Pedraza being... Everyone he's fighting is physically bigger as well. And he's had so many injuries. I think he's had 2 shoulder surgeries, had a hand operation, wear and tear on the body. Father Time waits for no one. I mean, we've seen some of the best fighters slow down. And Loma's that, right? But he is starting to slow down. But his style has always been about speed and movement. So once you start slowing down, you're going to start to get caught. And now he's getting caught by shots that he never got caught from before. I still think, though, that there is a few good performances left in Loma. I think we're going to see a much better one against Devin. But Devin's getting really good as well now. Devin's getting better than I thought he was. So right now, you make Devin a favorite. But I don't think anyone can sleep on Loma. I don't think it's possible.
I think outside of the speed and the agility that he showed, which would made him so great, Loma was able to hurt guys before. He stopped a lot of guys in that ring early on. And I think now, when you land big shots, like he caught Jermaine Ortiz with some big left hands and some little right hook jab type of shots that he does that are real sneaky, and he wasn't really able to hurt him. So he's not hurting guys the way he once did. I don't know if that could be a little discouraging in there, because then you have to go back to the fact that, all right, if I can't hurt this guy later in the fight and stop these guys, I got to start winning rounds. I got to start winning rounds early. So I think maybe he'll learn from this fight. He'll take something from it, because you learn from every fight regardless of how great you are. And I think going into the, it's funny you said size, Addy, and when you look at Devin Haney stepping in the ring afterwards, and Loma was there to say, hey, is this guy lightweight or a heavyweight? He's so much bigger than Lomachenko. So you think about size and how great Devin Haney's jab is, what he showcased against Kambosos. I mean, I think it's a tough fight for Loma. But let's be very brutally honest as well. Devin hasn't faced anyone like Loma. No question about it.
So that's a jump for Devin as well in terms of what he's done recently.
No question about that. I'm not going into this fight thinking, oh, Devin is going to wash Lomachenko. It's still Lomachenko.
Yeah.
And it's still a guy that he will get prepared for Devin Haney, no question about it. I think it's a huge fight. I love the fight. I can't wait to see the fight. Hopefully it happens next with no hurdles at it.
Yeah.
All right? Moving on to the man of the hour, who has shots thrown at Dana White, who questioned him fighting Anderson Silva. Here's a guy who has gotten so much hate, has received so much hate from some of the hardcore boxing communities. Us on this show, we've supported him because we know he only has 5 fights, and what he's been able to do in the sport is definitely impressive. And Eddie, I have to say, would probably be Jake Paul's best performance so far against the best opponent that he's ever faced. Skill guy. I mean, when you talk about a guy like Anderson Silva, Eddie, I have to mention, he's an awkward guy who fights for different stance. Most professional, experienced fighters hate to fight to face guys like that because they're awkward. That you don't know what to expect. You can't really train for a guy like that. So for all those things being considered, Jake Paul was able to put him down and have a really solid performance. I mean, they better give him credit for this one, Eddie.
Yeah, no, they're trying not to already, but they better, right? I see some people saying things like Anderson Silva's 50, and look, that's right, he is 50, but I'm a big UFC fan, and Anderson Silva is the greatest striker we've ever seen in the UFC. Like, this guy's got hands, very good hands. Let's not forget what he did against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. We know he can box as well. The gas tank probably isn't there, but Jake Paul's doing amazing things. Look, I cover, obviously, Misfits Boxing for DAZN, and he's moved away from that. Like, he's not a YouTube boxer anymore. This guy's fighting real fighters. So I think he deserves his credit. But he had to dig deep a couple of times in there. I've questioned his fitness levels. He showed that he's got the fitness levels as well. And he's calling people out. And now there's a fear. People don't want to go in the ring because you might get embarrassed and smoked. And whether it's Nate Diaz next, I mean, he's obviously not going to fight Canelo, but he's calling that Canelo. He wants to fight. And I give respect to this kid because he's rich beyond our wildest measures. He doesn't need to get in the ring and fight. But that's what he wants to do. He's training. He's taking this seriously. And Jake Paul's here, people. I mean, Jake Paul is here, and there's a lot of fighters that he could potentially fight that will make good money for him, so good luck to him.
That's one of the things that I've always said about Jake, Addy, that, here's a kid that was making money on YouTube way before this sport.
Yeah.
We all know how brutal this sport is. Just to even get prepared for a fight, what you have to go through with an 8-week, 10-week training camp. So he's choosing to do this. A lot to be said about that. And you brought up earlier that these YouTubers, he's going away from that. He's away from that, and those guys that are calling him out, knowing they don't really want to share the ring. That's why I don't really take those, those matchups serious, because these guys are very inexperienced. Jake is training and sparring with professional fighters. I mean, look, let's not forget he was about to fight Hassan Rockman Jr. It's a guy who's 12-1, who comes from a fighting background. His father, former heavyweight champ of the world, and Hassan Rockman. I mean, this guy is a real fighter, a real professional fighter. He was willing to mix, and before that, obviously, Tommy Fury. He was ready to mix it up with those guys. So I think this is a big win. Of course, it's far-fetched him fighting a Canelo Alvarez unless it's some sort of spectacle exhibition fight that there's a lot of money on the table for. But I'm thinking about guys at cruiserweight that he could be fighting. Maybe Vasiliy Rockman wins his next fight, maybe they can revisit that at the right weight class. I think that'll be a great matchup. But I think Nate Diaz is the fight that he's focused on. It's a big money
Nate's
fight.
the one. Nate's the one in terms of sort of being a big pay-per-view draw. Obviously, Nate we know is a big pay-per-view draw in the UFC. He's now done from that, right? His contract's up. Nate's the one, and Nate can fight. Nate sparred in the past, the likes of Andre Ward. Nate's got good hands, and I think that's a fight that makes sense. They're both in and around the same kind of weight class. Obviously, you got Tommy Fury over here as well. That's the fight that we're talking about. And he mentioned Hasim Rahman Jr. So look, he's got really good options. He's got a guy in Hasim Rahman that's fresh and young and big. You've got Tommy Fury, same, and you've got Nate Diaz in terms of high-profile fighter as well. So look, Jake Paul's here to stay. Jake Paul's here to stay. He's willing to fight anyone, but he's got to be careful. You can't call out Canelo. Like we give you our respect on this show. You can't call out the pound for pound number 2, 3 in my eyes. It don't make sense. You'll get smoked
and
very quickly.
I think that's more of a troll at it.
Yeah.
But at this point, right, we still those I guess Jake Paul haters that always said that hey, this guy needs to fight a real boxer. I mean, he fought a real boxer, Anderson Silva. Maybe not, a legend in the sport. He was a legend in a different combat sport. But he's only had 6 fights. What are we going to expect from this guy? I like the Nate Diaz fight. I don't need to see this guy against Sergey Kovalev. I don't need to see him against Anthony Yard or these other fighters. No, he only has 6 fights now.
Yeah, I don't understand what they want from him.
Yeah,
why does he need to be in there against a real boxer? Even real boxers in their first 10 fights are fighting nobody.
Nobody.
They're fighting garbage cans. So,
in fact,
I don't understand.
When you think about, listen, Eddie, I'll give you more perspective. Think about the guys that people are talking about. You know, the top. Think about the top 10 fighters in the sport today. When they had 5 fights, they weren't fighting a guy like Anderson Silva at that skill level.
No way.
Not even near that fight. So, but I guess my question before we wrap this up to you is, when you think about Nate Diaz and I guess the experience he had in a boxing gym, sparring with guys like you said, Ward, and he has obviously a lot of fights in the cage. Would you say he's a bigger threat for Jake Paul than Anderson Silva, considering the age?
Yeah, I think that's what it is for me. It's the age, it's the wear and tear. I mean, there were rumors and stories going around about Anderson Silva having problems in sparring. Whether or not that's true, we don't know. The cameras weren't there. But Nate Diaz comes with that aggression as well. You could sell pay-per-view tickets for the press conference. Nate Diaz was smacking up Jake Paul's people behind the scenes. So Nate brings an aggression and level of, I don't want to swear on the channel, a level we don't give a to the belt. So I love the Nate Diaz fight, and I think that's another level above. But again, it credits what Jake Paul's doing. You had Tyron Woodley, you've gone up another level, and Silva, and now you're going up another level, I think, in Nate Diaz. And you've got to respect the trajectory. It's fantastic.
I love it, and the fight is being built up already in the dressing room before his last fight. So it'll be a big promotion, and just not to forget. Look, Jake is trying to uplift women's boxing, better fighter pay, health care for fighters, and so on and so forth. So let's not ignore that, you Jake haters. The guy is proving it in the ring and outside of the ring. All right, that's our show for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace and love. Stay safe. We're out of here.